Good morning. It's AAA Wargaming here for another battle report. Let's get straight into it. So this is going to be game 3 of the Art of War and battle report number 18, so nearly up to that number 20, and we'll get there by the end of the tournament. So in my last battle report, I faced Hugh Scarlin, and before that was Martin Brolly with a Suriname. So I had a success first game, and then second game was a complete whitewash, as you may be aware. So I lost 20 nil. So I'm still stuck on 14 points. So I'm definitely dropping down the tables, but it does mean it's going to be it's going to be an easier match. It was quite a new experience playing Demon Legions, especially this scouting list, and I can tell you it's quick. And I think if you want to have a look at that, have a look at that report. But so I was going into playing Counter Thrust and Spoils of War. So Counter Thrust is the one where you deploy the first 3 units and you can't deploy, and you just try and gain board space and push your opponent back in the way you want to. And then they have to deploy 20 inches away from your unit. Then Spoils of War, so three spoils on the table, and you've got to go and pick them up. I think one of the things to always remember this is planning how you're going to pick them up, because you pick it up at the beginning of your turn, and then also it mitigates your movement as well. So that's something always, a Sylvanel player, I think you struggle because you tend not to have lots of units with 3 ranks or more. And especially in my army, I think the only unit I will have with that is Forest Rangers, and that's only if they're in full amounts. But against Orc and Goblins, I like playing Orcs and Goblins. It's always fun. They don't have the level of jankiness as the old game, but they're still good fun. I love the models. They're never boring. It's never a boring army when you play them just visually, and it's just I think it's one of those iconic things that we all remember from stuff like Lord of the Rings or anything, or World of Warcraft, etc. So I still think and it is a really cool army. Going into it, I think the deployment helps. I've got a unit of 10 Heath Hunters, 2 of them, so them are aligned across the board, and then with the Vanguard, I'm in a good spot. So I'm pretty happy with that. On the objectives, I've seen his army and I'll go through it. He's got a lot more scoring units. They've got ranks, so I think in the objectives he has an advantage. I only have 3 scoring units, so I've got to space them out, and it's really obvious how I'm going to try and take them. But I think so. But I think the deployment style could play to my advantage. In terms of list, the key characters here, I think just because of the way his list is running around shooting, I think the Blade Dancers and the Chieftain in the centre are going to have to be quite careful. I'm going to have to keep my Druid Adept near them, but it's going to be quite key. And then just, but I think they can probably hold them back just with hard target, probably in a forest. They're stubborn, so I think they can just keep forcing Rob Cousins' army back. I haven't mentioned that. Sorry, I am playing Rob Cousins and his orcs. So that's who it is. In terms of my divination adept, I didn't really think this. I thought my tree fathers are going to be quite key in this, as I'll go through his army just because some of the monsters are going out. So I'm going to have to. I think it was going to be blade dancers and tree fathers in the center, just trying to dominate, especially when you look at the map and the key features in there. And then I've got Heath Riders / Heath Hunters on the flanks. The key bit here is I'm going to try and pick it up, the spoil with the Heath Rider. I'm hoping that he'll leave one early on and I can go and grab it and just run off to a corner for the remaining game and not be shot or magicked away. The 11 Dryads, they're going to be in the centre and just sort of follow up, and if an opportunity presents itself, no. And that meant I could either put the Forest Rangers on a flank or in the centre to go and get after that centre objective. I decided to go for a flank, and I'll explain that during deployment of how it's phased out. My tree fathers are going to be quite key. I think this is one of the ones, because of the Great Green Idol, we'll see in his army. I think that was going to be key with the divination. Blade Dancer I was speaking to, and then those 2 Sentinels just to keep his monsters happy. So onto his list, he's got the big Warlord on a chariot with a shamanism on a chariot, and then there's another boar chariot further down. So these 3 are probably going to go together. It's got the Omen of the Apocalypse. So it's one of the few things in the game that just makes my tree fathers think, I don't want to go and face that. So I think this is one of those ones. He's then got a Thaumaturgy Master, so Wrath of God is something I'm going to have to stop. But when you combine this with Shamanism, he's got a +1 strength or a -1 resilience spell. So the Shamanism Adept with his attribute is going to be quite tricky, but just that combination is going to be quite Quite something. If you can hear squeaking in the background, sorry, that's my dog. He has a toy, and yeah. So yeah, I'm on leave today, which is why I'm doing this early, and I'm getting attacked by dogs. Sorry, I'm gonna have to move away from here. All right. What I've done is I've had to move away, so there might be a bit more an echo now, but at least we won't have squeaking throughout the remainder of this. Yeah, so the combination of the +1 and minus strength and -1 resilience is going to be quite tricky, especially when you look at his army further down with the Iron Orcs. And I think I'm right. Orcs have that rule that if they are steadfast at the start of combat, they get a +1. They get a +1 strength. So when you look at the Iron Orcs further down, something like that, go paired weapons, they're going to be strength 5. They could easily be wounding me on 4s. Potentially, if they get a bad magic phase, they could also be re-rolling to wound, or is it in with their hereditary? So he's also got the hereditary, so it's quite good. Whether it's shooty or combatty, he's got a very good magic setup. He's also got Pana Protection Pinching, so he gets to nick my attributes and stuff like that, I think, in Duel or for characters. So it's not quite as good as the Locket of Sunna, but it's certainly something I'm going to have to consider. And then he's got a Bakshi Goblin Chief with Mazza Zappin or whatever it is, but it's quite annoying. That's going to be going in the Goblins. Sorry, a bit of formatting issue there with the bows and nets. But also 2 times maggots. The nets themselves, he's got them on the goblins and the giant. I didn't know what this did, so I had to ask, and it's you get -1 to hit but he has to roll a d6 at the beginning of each combat round. On a 2+, I get -1, or is it? No, it's -1 strength. On a 1, he gets -1 strength because he's netted himself. So we'll see how that goes about. But the maggots themselves, I think the biggest risk for them is them going through my blade dancers. So I just got to be quite careful of that, and probably what I've got to support with with the druid adept. And then you've got lots of orcs with bows. Oh, so many bows. I think what is it? 45 plus the goblins, so 76 bows just there, plus a magic weapon of some sort. So that's going to be annoying. He's then got the goblin raiders with some more bows, so +8, so 84. And then he's got the Iron Orcs themselves. So with the Banner of the Relentless Company here, uh, they're not really a big threat, and I think it's something I'm going to have to I would like to put my Forest Rangers against them because I think I win that combat, especially with a tiny bit of magic support. I've just got better agility and I can hit them down with more attacks, so I think my Forest Rangers are the best used for them. Otherwise, you've got another chariot, so what I don't want to happen is sort of the maggots and the chariots going into my blade dancers. So this is a big no-no, and it's going to be something I want to have away. And I'm thinking I'm going to have to use my tree fathers to mitigate against that risk, and just something I'm going to have to do. He's then got two green hide catapults, one splatter, one git launcher. Git launcher is annoying because that could spike on my tree father, and I really don't want that to happen. So I think this was going to be my big target initially and take risk with the splatterer hitting my forest rangers or blade dancers and just relying on druidism to bring them back quicker, so that my tree fathers can remain a threat and stop the chariots and the maggots getting too cocky. And then the Grey Green Idol, a Res 8. It's Res 8, yeah, something like that, Res 8. So I've got to go in with a crush tax. So my tree fathers are the big things that are going to get that, and maybe I can do something about the sentinels as well. And then the giant with the nets, I think it's a really cool setup actually because giants are only res 5, so against res 6 it's not as important, but anything that's res 4 or 5, that's quite a big hit. And just because it's quite a narrow front base, even with forest rangers going in, I'm going to be quite careful that I can do a lot of wounds, so I'm going to have to weaken the giant beforehand before I go in. So that was a consideration. In terms of spells, I went for Fate's Judgment and Stars Align. I don't think that's correct. So the Druid Adept is correct, but there's Dryad. I think I changed that. I don't think I went for Fate's Judgment, or did I? Yes, I did. I did go for Fate's Judgment purely because of the. I think I went for Fate's Judgment because of the Big Green Idol, because I wanted an extra shooting spell just in case this got into a bit of a shooting match and it became a bit standoffish. Otherwise, if you look at his, yeah, it's pretty pretty damaging. I'm going to have to stop Wrath the God early on. And then he's just going to let the swarm of insects have its day, or pick his combat spells and cleansing fire. The only good thing about about Thaumaturgy compared to Evocation is cleansing fire cannot be cast or cannot be fired 18 inches. It can only be cast on a model that's 18 inches. So there's at least something, but he's got enough single models that can push that makes it quite an annoying spell for me with high spike potential. There's Ron, and this is the board. So what we've got here is a impassable on this side with a hill in the center where one of the tokens will go. So the tokens are there, these orange things, and there. So I've definitely got an advantage on the left-hand side about where it is, and he's got the advantage on the right. You've got a forest in this corner, so I was pretty happy with that because I didn't think he was going to put that side. The wall here, so I assumed he was going to have a bit of a line here. It gives it is quite close to the objective, so we can get there, but it's good for especially for defense. And then on my side, I've got ruins, which are a bit annoying because of my infantry, and then another impassable here. But I think my cavalry can get around that. So what happened here? So first and foremost, I deployed. So he won and he chose that side, and I deployed first. And I thought I'm going to use this because what I didn't want is chariots coming up in the center. I didn't want a big center rushing me, so I put my Heath Hunters 10 across there. He then deployed either his no, he didn't deploy his catapult. I think he deployed the giant. I think it was to keep me away from this and just force me back. And I was like, okay, fine, happy with that. I then deployed my. I think I was quite happy at that point. I think I deployed my Heath. I can deploy my Heath Hunters on the right hand side just to try and keep him away from this objective. I was hoping to force him back into this area here, which it worked. He then deployed his catapult. Oh, sorry, his chariot. And then I deployed my. I think I deployed my forest rangers on this side. So it was an intent that I was going to go after this. But I think I'd already decided. As soon as the laydown was there, I was like, okay, I'm hoping he leaves this flank open. So that's where my Heath Riders were going to go. This is where my drives are going to have to be with my blade dancers because of the forest there that I put down. And then this is going to be where my forest rangers are going to go. It's a bit annoying with the ruins, but I just think sweeping up this flank, it keeps my flanks protected. And I can support if necessary if I want to put a tree father. And then he put his Iron Orcs away from me, so I was pretty happy with that. So what happens now is I then drop for everything because I want to get ahead. I know I'm going to have to shoot some of his war machines. So what I do is I quickly put my blade dancers down there. I put the tree fathers in the center because I think that's where I'm going to have to dominate with the dryad and dryad matriarch behind. I then put the two sentinels on this side because I need to take off that giant. What I don't want to do is have a giant and Iron Orcs facing off against my forest rangers. And what I want to do is overwhelm this flank so I can pick up this spoil and hope I can get this spoil and then force him to fight me out in the center and at least see if I can get a 13-7 or possibly more just because of my range threat. So I was pretty happy with that deployment there, and then how he deployed against me. So sorry, this is turn one on my movement, but just ignore for the moment. So what he did then was he's got his chaff on this side with the Goblin Raiders, and I assumed that was just to get them into this gap here so they can go past the impassable and start chaffing up my tree father so we can advance with the general. Quite good with that. So he's not wanted to deploy on this side, so he's made his intent very clear. He wants to go for these two spoils, and he thinks he's going to have a big center. He's sort of limited with his Great Green Idol, so he wants to have his Great Green Idol come up this angle, but he just wants to hold his flank here with his shooting, and hopefully he can keep that way, which I'm very happy with because I think at the very worst I can sacrifice a unit of Heath Hunters to get my Heath Riders to pick up the objective on turn one, and then they can just run away, and that's me good. Which is kind of what you can see is starting to happen. He's then got his Scratchbot here and a what's it called? The Git launcher was there. It's just under his arm, and then he's got his big scary lord and adept in here, and it's just like that's what's coming. So I know I'm going to have to do some dancing between them and my tree fathers probably early doors. But what I'm very happy with that is it's not near my blade dancers. If they were here, I think he could have pushed up quite hard. and just zoned this entire area, and it would have been quite dangerous for me. And then he could have pushed his green idol up here, but it didn't, so I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, that's it. So I'm pretty confident actually at this point that I'm going to win the objective. In terms of turn one, so what you can see happened is on the left is my forest rangers I've pushed up, so I'm still out of charge range, and I've just kept the sentinels around here ready to shoot. And they do plink off. You can see there, they've plinked off about 4 wounds. Got my dry matrix, so what I'm trying to do is support these on the left initially, and also just these in the center, just because I think it's a bigger threat, and I'm relying on their on the blade dancers' innate ability of MR4 and what they called hard target 1 and soft cover, just to keep them alive with the shooting. I've then moved the Heath Hunters up quite aggressively just to block the Heath Riders on the right. On the Heath Riders on the right, and you can see there, and just cover them, and if they have to die, that's fine. And then this in the center, my target is the Git launcher was here, which I did kill off. And so between my shooting phase, I was pretty happy. In terms of magic, I get Oaken thrown off, and that's about it. I don't get any. I get one other spell off, but it wasn't really a major phase. What it was, because I didn't really have anything at the moment, what I wanted to do was try and put some shooting and magic attacks on this guy or something else. And Fate's Judgment was out of range. I just wanted to see if I could do that. But other than that, I'm pretty happy. And yeah, I'm happy going forward into the remainder to see what Rob does. Yeah, turn one, that's the Git launcher being taken off. So now all I've got to worry about is one of them. I think he was a bit shocked with how strong Heath Hunter shooting could be. I think they're very good. And there's the 4 wounds on the giant on the left there. So again, with 20 shots, that's pretty. I don't know. It's probably about average because my AP1 takes off his wound, so yeah, probably even. In terms of his turn, you can see he's pushed up really, really, really aggressively, but it's not affecting my plan that much. One thing he did, so going through the thing he did cleverly that I did not expect, I completely forgot, was Banner of Relentless Company here. He's pushed them up, and they are now on the objective, whilst also bringing his giant up. So I've got to charge the giant, and I charge away. Yes, he sacrificed it, but he's now got the orcs that have covered there. I can't charge them with anything here, and I'm going to have to back off a bit. And now they, because they can still march, can start coming in to help the centre whilst he's pressuring at the front with the chariots, and he's still got this chaff and everything else. So I was like, that's really clever. So what he's done now is he's picked up a spoil and he's brought his Iron Orcs back into the game while my Forest Rangers are going to spend a turn on the flank doing nothing, not picking up the spoil. So that was really clever. In the center, what he's done is he's just formed a battle line between all 3 units, and he's going to shoot me. So his probably priority target is them, maybe them if they keep threatening, and then followed up by these ones here. In Magic, I stop Wrath of God, but I have to let Swarm of Insects through and stuff like that. So I think in overall plan, it's quite good, but that Magic phase is going to start between his magic phase and shooting he's going to do. Luckily, he's missed with the catapult, so I don't need to worry about that at all. But I do need to work out how I can deal with it. It's between that and Thaumaturgy. My Tree Fathers can't dominate the center as much, or I've got to take more risks with them. Yeah, so this is one side. So his bows, I think. No, this is Swarm of Insects. So Swarm of Insects took one off. But then it's in the center. I mean, here his shooting just opened up on the Heath Hunter, so he killed one initially. And I was like, yeah, this is really good. Or maybe it was magic, but something like that. And then he took the remaining, and then I took a few more off, and I took a few more off, and more units kept shooting. Eventually, the whole unit died. So that is the Heath Hunters going. He did not expect the Git launcher to go. I did not expect that. So us, and he still managed to have some shooting at these on the right and take a Heath Hunter off. So I was pretty like, can my blade dancers even stand up to that for too long? So I think the answer is yes. Because of the rules about impossible shot, actually, they're in a pretty good spot. So they're going to probably be hitting me on 7s, at best 6s, and probably not be able to shoot me at all. I've just got to be quite careful with the magic. But on the plus side, they have survived. On the right, I've killed the Git launcher, so my Tree Fathers have a bit better movement around. I've only got to worry about the splatterer. Importantly, my Heath Riders on the right there have are going to pick up an objective and be able to run away. And because of his deployment, he's got nothing quick. I have got a spoil. So we're going to have equal spoils next turn, but that's probably better. It's probably the best I can hope for with the number of scoring units he's got in the army. In terms of my turn two, I've charged the Forest Rangers into the Giant. I thought about this for a minute and I thought, do I back off and just try and shoot him, but also move to the left, or just try and angle up so if the Giant disappears, I can charge the Orcs. In hindsight, maybe that was a definitely possibility, but I would have been charging through the ruins. If I didn't kill the Giant, I'd had a really bad phase. I could have a Giant in the flank, and that's where, with those wounds coming up, I really start suffering. So I just thought, no, just get rid of the Giant because you don't want him in terror bombing off. And so you can do that. In terms of the rest of the army, you can see that I've moved my Sentinels back around. That's just so I'm going to start picking off the Iron Orcs because I think they've got this spoil now, but actually I've got 5 turns to really put damage on them. So that's my aim. I've squared away the Tree Fathers on the left-hand side because this is where the threat's now coming. I think the Blade Dancers can just keep everyone away from this, and I don't want my Tree Fathers getting any damage from the splatter at this turn. I'm not ready to start magicking them, so that's my theory. So I'm pretty happy with this side, and I can start picking off some of those models because actually there's only 20 of them. If I get one turn of good luck, I could get them down to 10, 15. Sorry. So actually I can deal with them quite well. On this side, my Heath Hunters just moved back a bit more out of range, so I don't need to worry about anything. And then my Heath Riders you can just sort of see them there. So they were the spoils, and they're running into the corner, never to be seen again this game. So just a record, never talk about them again. They go and sit in the corner. That's it. Otherwise, in combat, I did smash the Giant, and I killed a few Iron Orcs. Other than that, pretty much nothing else happened. But I'm pretty happy with how that went. So yeah, that's pretty good. My one mistake this part is I should have gone for the chaff. I didn't even think about it. This is something I will go on to, but this is something I should have gone for actually with my Sentinels. I should have made sure I could hit the chaff and I can take it out. So that's something. And this is why. So what Rob does is he pushes his Iron Orcs as he described. So he's brought the Iron Orcs into the center there, and he's basically given me an option. I probably won't break them because they're stubborn or something with the Tree Father if I go in. And then he's lined up these 2 units here of his Big Lord, his Great Green Idol that's going in. He could call the War, so they're going to be quite hefty. And he's moved his Goblin Riders in here, so actually when I was thinking about it last turn and should I move them to right, this would have happened, but maybe I wouldn't have killed the Giant. So actually I'd made the right call. I still can't charge then because then he has the option of charging all this into them, or at least the Great Green Idol and this Chariot, and then I think I really am in trouble because between Thunderstomps and Impact Hits. So I have to shoot these off. But at the same time, I've now got these Iron Orcs and these Chariots coming in, and I didn't know how to deal with that. Otherwise, he's moved his units up on this side to start shooting at the Blade Dancers because there is only target in range. I think Magic was the big one here because that's his Wrath of God and the dice on the marker in the center. He rolled it with a 444, and I went, yeah, okay, you can have that. I'm not going to stop that. I can get rid of Wrath of God and not have to worry about it for the end of the game. So I was pretty happy with that. So 2 turns of Wrath of God, 1 successful, and then that's it. Don't need to worry about it. Otherwise, between shooting and magic, he only managed to kill 4 of my Blade Dancers off there. So I'd say that's pretty good. And then nothing on magic. So it goes into my turn 3. So I had some decisions here. So here they are. Do I charge these and take risk that maybe I could shoot the Chariot off? Because then I think if the Great Green Idol goes in, that's a bit more dodgy. Do I put the Tree Fathers into this? It's a long charge anyway, and if I fail it, then I really am in trouble and I've gained nothing out of it. And I think actually no, there's 2 reasons for this. One, I'm quite mobile, so I've still got time with the Iron Orcs. But what I want to do is I don't just want to keep backing off because otherwise, the only problem I've got is this Wrath of God in the center here. and I don't really want to take a Wrath of God to the Blade Dancers. So what I do is I withdraw the Blade Dancers, but I must stop him going for the objective. Otherwise, he just moves all his shooting up and sits on the objective and then counter reacts and just use this. So what I did was I pushed those Tree Fathers up into this area here, and now he's got problems. I doubt he's going to be able to shoot me off. Yes, I'm taking risk with the Scratterbolt, but he can easily miss. It's right into his magic, but he's now got two Terror Causers. He's going to have to launch his Mad Gits, so they come out as well. And I'm hoping that Res 6 versus Strength 5 and Wrath of God works, which it does, because they get no wounds against them. And then in Magic, I cast Summer's Growth, and I get all my Blade Dancers back. Woo! Yay! So otherwise, I shoot at the Iron Orcs again. I decide not to kill them off this turn, which probably should have dropped a few of them with the left-hand unit, but I just kill a few more Iron Orcs, chipping away at that unit. So eventually, even my Dryads could take it on, and it's something I can deal with. I'm still quite mobile as an army, so I'm not in a bad state, and I'm pretty happy. As you can see, oh sorry, I do shoot at them. So I don't shoot at the Iron Orcs this turn. I shoot at the. So I think, yeah. So I shot these off. I was a bit unlucky. If I'd managed to shoot all of them off, I think it would have been. I would have been in a much better space. As it was, yeah. But as you can see, even with one turn of shooting, 4 Iron Orcs there. So I just want to think about this. So 4 Iron Orcs over 2 more turns. That's another 8 gone. Suddenly that unit is 12 down. It's below double figures, even just above double figures. It just means that a Tree Father can go in. It counts as 1 rank. So I'm pretty happy with that. In terms of this side, nothing really happens. This is just the Wrath of God coming down and nothing happening, which I was pretty happy with. And then Ogre and Goblins turn 3. So how does this go? So what I think he did here was he went for a long bomb charge with the Iron Orcs. He's got no risk. I'm not charging him with my Centaurs or Dryads. He's still got cover from these units as well, and he can block my Forest Rangers with this last Chaffed Wolf. Oh well. It's probably over average, like kill 7 with 20 odd Centaurs anyway. So it's one of those things about this magic phase that I've noticed that I do like to have more magic missiles. I think it would be complemented more. It's just that odd 1 or 2 wounds that you want to get off with magic or with the odd magic missile that just would make this a bit more complete. But anyway, what he's done is that's the failed charge there. It was a long one. I don't know. I think he called the wire just to see, because if he does get in, it's quite a major game changer on that, and it probably means he can secure both objectives now while my Blade Dancers are quite far away, because he'll be able to reorientate and kill off at least 1 Tree Father. The rest of his movement is just like that. So he's ranked up all his archer units again, which is good for me, so I can stop him shooting as much. And he's bumped out his little character thing. So I think his character is in front of the left-hand Tree Father there. So here I think it is. But he's also bumped out his 2 Mad Gits in the shooting phase, and they sort of go around here, but they don't really do that much. Otherwise, he's reorientated the entire way back here. He's just using that chaff on the left with the chariot just to hold up my Forest Rangers, because he knows he can't leave his goblins and this. So if I take all this side off, that means he's at best drawn the objective, and at worst I've just gone into his flank. Now personally, I'm happy with this. This is what I wanted because I'm still quite mobile. I can still move back and bring my Blade Dancers forward. I've still got my Heath Hunters, and I can, so in essence, I'm quite happy because what he's done is he's come back into the centre, and I'm a lot more mobile, and I can still use the hill. So I'm a lot more content with how this has gone. In terms of shooting and magic, he's still quite limited, so he doesn't really do that much. But he gets a wound off on the Tree Father here. I think that was through the Mad Git rather than anything else. I think between Res 5 and 5 plus Hooters was pretty strong there and stood up to them. It's a kick-ass photo just on the hill, just saying, "Come on if you think you're hard enough." And well, the Orc Warlord was like, "Yep, okay, I'm pretty hard. I'll take you on." So yeah. Oh, sorry, he does get a wound through magic, and then through shooting, he gets another one off with the Mad Git. So I'm down to 4 wounds there. In terms of other side, I'm still not. Oh, so I'm on this side. So what I do is crap. So that's that. So you can see he's put his maggots out. One of them is where is one of them? So one of them is roughly about here. He's got his chirrer up here and his other maggot here. So he's got quite a bit of this. So what I didn't want to do was leave my tree fathers. I didn't want to charge the goblins because I don't think I'd kill all of them. And if I did, I still get charged by the world here. So I didn't think I can go forward anymore. So what I did was I brought my blade dancers up here to threaten the goblins because the drums are coming, they can't move. So he either has to march back the other way, limiting the shooting, and probably stopping these two coming forward just to get out of my charge arc, or he puts them there, and my blade dancers can go through into next turn. Move my heath hunters out to the wide just to try and shoot some of this stuff off, mainly his madget there between the heath hunters and this streaming root attack I should be able to do. I have charged the dog at this point just to kill a few off, and what I do is I angle the heath hunters to shoot into this area just so I can get them off. I get forest. He stops a lot of spells because he didn't want healing waters on, but he doesn't stop. I'd made sure I was in 12 inches, so I managed to take all the wounds off the tree father, so back up to full wounds again. And what we've got here is just it's the orcs and goblins coming in, and I know this is going to be quite bad. So what I've got to do is try and minimise what it is. So I think I killed another 5 there between the sentinels and the the tree father's attack himself. What I didn't do was kill off the madget in this because I don't mind the madget there. I think it's okay, even if he comes back through this way and bounces through. They're not coming in, it doesn't threaten me. But if he goes this way, which I think is more likely to just mitigate the tree father, it also means he's going to take off a few of his iron orcs. So I'm pretty happy with that. And this is a close-up view of that, and it's where I've killed the bottom madget. So there is one that I've killed here, and this is that. I don't get this, so it does mean that my tree father on the right is definitely going to be chaffed here and not going into that. But what he can't do is chaff the blade dancers themselves. Sorry, I know why I changed that picture back. Apologies. Sorry, it was the madget going through. That's why we changed it. So he didn't do anything in magic and shooting to the tree father until the maggot went through. I took a picture and then realised that a tree father only has 5 wounds. That's why. So that's why, because I was looking at the magic phase, because he's got no wounds left, I got healing waters up on the tree father, and I was in 12 inches, so I took the wound back off, so he's at 5 wounds again. So that is why we did it that way around. Apologies. So yeah, that makes more sense. So I was looking at that for a second, going, "Yeah, that's not right." So that was that. It's one of those things that I've had to start writing down, is especially when I change characters around between Tree Father, Ancient, Avatar, and just a bog standard Tree Father. It's just writing down the wound counters. It's just something a little notebook having there, and I find that's quite useful. And also, I've started writing on a sheet to hand over to my opponent. I didn't do it for this. I did it for the Masters Open, and it's something I'm going to do in the team tournament in Warsaw, just because I think it's quite good. I think watched the YouTube video and it proved quite useful. I just didn't have time for this tournament. But otherwise, I've turned around to face him and I'm fully prepared for what comes next, which is a charge. So, as you can see, the Iron Orcs have gone in here, and this is post Madgit going through. So, I only killed one off actually on his Madgit, I think. But what it is happened is he's decided he's charged in there. It was an unfavorable charge, but what he has done is he's blocked off my tree father here and moved all his scoring units forward just so he can have a look at grabbing this last objective, whilst also threatening this hill between the green idol and the chariots here. He doesn't need to worry about my heath hunters. Even if they come up here, they're not going to do anything. They can shoot a bit. Maybe I can get lucky and get his rock lobber, but that's not critical to the objective right now. He's happy. He doesn't want to charge my forest rangers because all that will do is potentially cause, at best, he'll probably die. Maybe he'll kill a few. At worst, he could not die, lose combat, run away,
and then bring me forward into this area in my turn 5, and then I've got flank or rear or whatever charges into the center here. So that's a really good move actually, just to take a step back, because now my forest rangers are going to take one turn to move into there at the very least, and then another turn in. So I think they're out of the game now. So yes, they've only killed a giant and a chaff piece, but they haven't died either. So, but unfortunately, they haven't picked up the objective. So I think Rob played it really well on this side. They far outsmarted me. I just did not see that move with the banner. In terms of magic, he just buffed up those. I think the Tree Father. I stopped. So he got Bring the Pain up because I remember he had rerolls to the thing. Yeah, he was really unlucky. He got me down to, was I res 5 or was I strength? Was he strength 6? Oh, that's a good one. Good question. Next question. I can't remember, but it should have killed my Tree Father, even with 5 wounds. Like the number of attacks coming or something like that. But he was definitely winning on 4s. And re-rolling to hit, but obviously he was hitting on 3s re-roll, but he does roll appallingly badly in that. But otherwise, between shooting, as you can see, he's killed off 3 of my blade dancers, so I've taken all that shooting, but some of it I don't even think can shoot because it was just that between movement, long range, hard target 1 and soft cover. It was just too bad. Um, as I say, yeah, he's moved his piece into there to block my Tree Father, so I'm going to have to try and shoot him next turn before I can even get anywhere. I don't really know how I want to handle that, because if I charge, I'm then going to end up here. Even with an overrun or anything, it just means, if anything, I want to get further away if I charge, because otherwise he'll have good arcs onto the Blade Dancers if they don't go in. So I'm really, do I try and shoot him off, fail, or do I try and kill this little character? On the plus side, the Mad Git went through my Tree Father and here, and did nothing to the Tree Father, and killed one of his Iron Orcs. So that's that. Um, yeah, and that kind of sets the tone for his combat phase actually, because sorry, I got more shot off with that, so I'm down to about 9 in that unit there, so not great. But here, that's, yeah, what we got here? We got Smite. Oh, I can't see that. So my next bit is I need to find a way of being able to write down what happens in Magic phase again in tournaments that does that. So I'm gonna have to work that out. But he's definitely got Smite the Unbeliever. Yeah, he got Smite the Unbeliever off. So the Tree Father is res 5. He chooses paired weapons, and that's Bring the Pain underneath. I know that because he got rerolls to wound or hit. I think it's rerolls to hit. So he put all his things on there, and that's it after combat. He does only 2 wounds. Really unlucky because all 5 were able to hit because I'm 75 wide. And yeah, that was just so unlucky, because between thunderstomps and everything else, so he's got 1 rank, but I'm also got 1 rank. So what that happens here is I overrun. I don't know why the maggot dies, but it dies. Someone can explain that rule to me. But in short, I've got uh oh, sorry, the other one was, so we got Smite the Unbeliever off. Bring the Pain was on the Orcs. Okay, so I still the 4+ fortitude really helped for me. So actually having a 4+ save was a real benefit in this. I only lost 2 wounds. Otherwise, I dominated. Not only have I killed the Iron Orcs, but I have made him drop the spoil. And I think this is critical because he now has to push. His scoring units are in the wrong place. I don't think they can get to that other spoil. So I think at this stage, I have drawn the objective. Between 2 turns, he cannot go and pick that up. But it also means if I push now against his scoring units with the Blade Dancers, I'll block them off. So this is a critical phase. I think I've won the objective now. At very least drawn if I get bad ones. So this is what I do. I charge with my Blade Dancers out here, and he goes flee, and I was like, remember, drums are coming in, and he's like, yes. So this is why I love this item. It's really janky, and it fixes people, and it works perfectly with Blade Dancers. I'm just wondering whether I sacrifice one of the Aether icons for maybe not a flaming banner, but like a banner of speed, so they're 3d6, so they're Swiss Stride with movement 6, or Maybe I do it with Predator Pendant. I know Artem's running that at the moment on the UK scene. He seems to love it when combined with that, so that they can charge out and they're now distracting. I'm torn with that, but I think it's a really good option that I might try and explore in the team tournament. But it's such a good item because now I've hit here. At best, at best for Rob now, the goblins hold. And that's probably true because I'll probably say steadfast because I'm light troops. At worst, he um, I overrun and I hit his other unit here, and he gets 2 turns to try and get that. So he's got to get it in turn 5 on next turn. Otherwise, he can't pick it up. So he can't win the objective, which I'm pretty happy at. He blocks Summer's Growth, which I was so happy about because that's the one I was like, don't care. I then got Forest Embrace up and Healing Waters, which was critical. So I've got a 4-up save and or a 5-up. I think it was. He didn't stop poking and throwing because he wanted to get as much magic through on the tree on the combat before, and and that's what benefits me. And Forest Embrace. So now they are stubborn. So even in turn 6 and his turn 5 when he charges in, because I think we'd said we weren't going to have a turn 6, he's not going to be able to. Or we didn't play turn 6. I think it was just done by that point. It was just late and we were both tired. But he, yeah, that means that unit's not going anywhere, and I'm going to blow through at least the gobos, and it just means that going into them is really really dangerous because I'm not going to choose 3+ ages this turn, but I may choose it next turn. In terms of I've brought my Heath Hunters up on this side, and that's so initially I can shoot at these, and that's where you can see these 2 wounds on. If it's a turn 6, so hopefully I can get around there. In other news, I brought, because I didn't want a big Great Green Idol going in, because I think between Thunderstorms there, that kills Dryer, Blade Dancers if I'm stuck there, and I'm making an assumption I do get stuck there. I push this guy up here just to block the Great Green Idol. In this combat, I push it in here, and then what I do is I plan to overrun here and just offer him another target that I think is just a trap to draw him out. Because what I don't want is that going into the side of me. I'll choose the 3+ ages so I can mitigate it, but 2d6 plus 2 impact hits is still 2d6 plus 2 impact hits on elves, whether you've got a 3+ ages or not. So yeah, it was pretty scary. And then all the other attacks. So I'd rather they didn't go in. So the Tree Father is there as bait, or the plan is to overrun and have the Tree Father there as bait. In terms of combat, I know it looks like I've killed the goblins, but I haven't. There is one guy there, I think. He's like 1 or 2 or something, but I can't overrun, which is really annoying. So I'm stuck there, and now it goes to the Tree Father combat. But as you can see, I finally killed this meddlesome priest. And then I overrun there, and I end up on that hill. So he now has the choice of the target, but otherwise I'm pretty happy with how the turn has gone. Otherwise I've killed, yeah. Otherwise that's it. So I've got the objective, so that's a bonus because the Tree Father is now pretty much sitting on top of the objective, so he can't get it unless he charges in turn 5 into my Tree Father and beats it with the orcs. But I just don't think that with my BSB there, he could do it with the Lord, but I don't think he can fit the Lord and the orcs past my Blade Dancers. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. As you can see, just on what I did do is I've brought up the Forest Rangers on this side, and I think in shooting I put a couple of wounds. Yes, definitely, I put a couple of wounds on this Great Green Idol. So I think I did. I think I put 2 wounds, so he's only got 4 wounds left. But still, I'm fully expecting a grind between these two, the Great Green Idols, Crush Attack, to beat it, especially with he's still got the Shamanism and the Thaumaturgy magic to reduce strength and stuff like that. So I don't think it's going to be. This is just you're just going to have to survive. Yeah. Right. So what he does is he charges in with the right hand orcs, and he takes the bait and hits the Tree Father. I think he was worried about just getting stuck on my Blade Dancers in a forest with the 3+ ages, which is probably likely. I could take a challenge with something, and then my Tree Father counter charges, and yeah, it just doesn't end very well for him. He's also charged Great Green Idol into my other tree father as well. So I'm expecting. So in my head, he's going to kill the tree father with the orc lord because between impact hits, omen of apocalypse or whatever it is, just not. It's not going to end well. I think he's also going to kill the other tree father because he has more wounds left than me, and he's got magic support there that's directly. Because I'm going to have to be quite careful with my magic support now, with the general coming down and breathing down my neck. And then he's moved his archers up on the middle there into a good formation to shoot off some of my heath hunters. So I think I'm going to have a really difficult position there. What it does mean for me is I think he's going to stick. I think his big orc block with my blade dancers in the center here is going to stick. I'll be able to move across and maximize here, and then I've got a rear charge here with this. So if we had a turn 6, I think this unit is dead, quite frankly. Um, which is a bonus, and then I'll just have to face this and work this out. So at least I'm going to get this unit, even if I leave both my tree fathers, and potentially I could get the green idol if I wound it enough between shooting. So I think it's not the end of the world. So I think I'd kill the great green idol, but I'd lose and that orb unit, but I'm going to lose both my tree fathers in the process and keep the objective. So that's the important bit. I put some more magic on them, so I think it was healing waters. Oh, yeah, sorry, it's his phase anyway. Sorry, in shooting, that's a really blurry photo, but you can see there he's killed 3. So that's a tree of worth of 2. So he's killed 3 off there, but they pass their panic check and they stick. And then you can see in the combat, so I finally kill those last goblins in the center there. And what I do is I just move across and maximize on the orcs. But as you can see, I've still got healing waters and forest embrace off from last turn, so I'm still pretty comfortable at it. Even if he kills the tree father, or now on his turn in his turn 6, I think in my turn 6 I kill these orcs, so I'm still happy. Right, see, 2 chariots, of which one's lord, and full wounds on a tree father. So what happens? He charges in. He's got bring the pain and awaken the beast off. And I let awaken the beast off to keep smite the unbeliever. Why did I do that? I think it was because the omen. No, I stopped. Oh, I did something, but he rolled really low for his impact hits. Didn't get. He got like 1 wound through or something. I think my 5 up Aegis was on fire. This was the time where it might as well have been to 2+. His orc lord hit and rolled the D3 for all the stuff. Got top, so he's hitting me on so many attacks. Strength 9 or 8 or something. He was winning me on 2s, like, or something ridiculous like that. And then he's got a shaman, and then I do my crush attack back. I hit, so I'm on 1 wound. I hit, I wound his lord, and it's a crush attack. And then I roll D3+1, and I roll a 5 or a 6, so it's D3+1. So not only is dead lord, but his chariot then fails his leadership check, runs, and is overrun by a tree father. So, so instead of the tree father dying, yes, he's got half points, but I've killed a lord, his general, so it's an extra 200 points plus his wizard, his shaman adept. So that was the first part of turn 5. Then we go on to the tree father versus the great green idol, which I've put a couple of wounds on. So we've just got to get. So he's got 4 wounds, I've got 3. So I don't think either of us kills each other, but he could get lucky. So we go on. He does his crush attack. Doesn't do anything. Or he does his attacks. He does 2 wounds with his attacks. So I've got 1 wound left. And then I do my crush attack. And I kill him. So I'd rolled, I hit, because I'm hitting on 3s. I wound. And then I need 4 wounds and I roll D3+1 and I kill it. So, and that's it. Yeah, he's like, what the hell? So now I've got a turn 6 and I think we called it there for time, but I could have charged my tree father into his chariot. Oh no, his chariot is alive there because that was after combat. Okay, so his chariot is stuck in combat with me. So, sorry. So that chariot is not dead. So that chariot is still there, but the general and the great green idol are definitely dead. And then we called it there. So yeah, you can see that. So the chariot is still there in combat, but his other chariot, you can see this. This one fails his leadership check and runs through this way, but doesn't take any DTs. So it's running, but so I get half points for that, but otherwise nothing different. And then I think my shooting could have really sort of messed it around next turn. I could have brought the Forest Rangers in. No, I don't think I would have done that. I would have probably just tried to run away with this guy and buff this one and just try and keep it away from that sort of thing and come around. I don't know what I would have done, but either way, we ended the game there on turn 5. But it's pretty resounding victory. I've got a spoil. He's got nothing. His units are in combat, and all he's got left is his Shaman Adept, his Thaumaturgy Master, with 2 units of Orcs, one of which is about to get munched by between my Heath Hunters and Blade Dancers, a wounded Rock Lobber, and a Chariot that's running away. So a pretty damning report. So I got very lucky in that final turn. I think the swing must be in, so we can have a look at it. But the swing must have been Great Green Idol. Oh no, the Orc Ball Chariot is there. That's wrong. I don't know what the score. The score was 3031 because he counted up that way, and I've checked on Tawny Keeper, but I don't know what's happening with that Orc Chariot. Something else has made those points up. But yeah, that's a bit. So between those, that final turn, 800 points on the Warlord with the General Attribute and the Great Green Idol. That's weird. Okay, so sorry. No, the Orc Warlord was not the General. Something else was. It was It was the Thaumaturgy Master. So he didn't get 200 points. He's not got the Chariot. So what else is dead? Something else is dead that makes up that points to 3031. Otherwise, I wonder. Okay, sorry, we'll put that aside. But either way, Great Green Island with BSB is dead, so that's at least 665 points plus another 600. So it's 1200 points there, and no chance of getting the objective for him. So it's pretty bad in terms of that. So overall, a great result. Or I've missed some pictures off. Oh, I know what's wrong. So I didn't count the goblins in that 406 points. So that's why. Sorry, that's why. So yeah, and I think the orcs, 25 orcs. I think maybe we did play a turn 6 and they got killed off. Either way, that was the score we put in after it. But overall, I only lost the Heath Hunters and half points from both Tree Fathers. And then I've got a difference of 15-5 in terms of points, and I got the secondary for an 18-2. So overall, a very successful one. I'd say I got very lucky. I'd say the lucky moment was actually when his Thaumaturgy and Wrath of God rolled a triple 4 and lost Wrath of God, and it just gave me so much more freedom of maneuver. That was the one way he could stop me moving around and doing stuff, and he's really unlucky to lose it on turn 2. And when I had to push back, I think if I'd moved back with my Tree Fathers alongside my Blade Dancers, he could have pushed forward and it would have been a completely different game. And I think I'd have got away, I'd have lost objective. I think I'd have killed more points at range long term, or I'd had to throw a few things around, but I think he'd have won the objective. So it would have been about that 12-8 territory to him. But pushing those Tree Fathers forward and him losing Wrath of God early was probably the big thing that stopped him getting objective. And then he was just unlucky with that, because if you take off, he should have killed the Tree Father, and I shouldn't have got those 600 points for his Warlord. So that's a swing of 888 points right there. I think I should have got another couple of units, but then I think that 15-5, even before the objective loss, looks quite different. I think it looks more like 12-8. Yeah, I think it looks more like 12-8. And or even a 10-10 and a 13-7. So I think he was very unlucky on that turn, and it's just he just got diced, would be honestly. But overall, I was very happy the plan worked, and get an 18-2. It's nice to get a big win and finish on game 3. So yeah, a successful part. So I'm now stuck on end of day 1 on 32 points with 2 wins and a loss. So going into day 4, I was wondering. We went out for a curry, had a great time. But we found out during the curry that I was playing Craig Johnson, double master. But as my mate said, if there's ever a time you have a chance of doing well against a master, your list against his list is an opportunity. So look forward to that one. And I'm on holiday now, so hopefully I'll be able to get a bit more reports out with uh, a more timely manner, so you can have a good time over the next week. Thank you very much for listening to AAA Wargaming. Look forward to having you on the next one. Thank you.